So I used a term in this question that I don't really like. And I did it on purpose to illustrate a point. The term, as you can probably guess, is problem employee. Now, the trouble with this term is that it comes from a fixed mindset. It says this employee is in this box. They're a problem and it's not going to change. Well, that's just not true. People change all the time. So we have to treat people equally and let them know that we know they can change and that we've got their backs. And that generally solves all problems. So here's the process, though, that I follow if somebody is maybe not meeting performance standards. Maybe a better way to put it, right? So if they're not meeting performance standards, I usually start with coaching. Then, if it continues, I move on to a verbal warning, written warning, final warning, and then some sort of corrective action like suspension or even termination. Now, this entire time, I just keep notes on each one of these meetings, and I involve HR at the appropriate times, which is generally in the written to final warning area of the process. If you do this, it works great. So coaching is probably the most important part of the process, and it's the beginning, so let's start there. Usually you can solve all your problems with this method. You find a good place to talk with the employee. It's different for everybody. Sometimes it can just be in the workplace, but most people don't like going over this in front of other people, so you find the good place. Right when you start talking with them, it's good to be upfront. You tell them why you're there immediately. Let them know that there's some sort of performance issue. And then you ask a couple questions and you stay quiet and listen. You want to understand why there's an issue and why they think there is and what can make it better. And then you do everything after you've listened that you can to make it better for them, and you make a plan with them. Say you'll check up. As long as everything's good, you're good to go from there. If not, which happens sometimes, you move on to a verbal warning, and you really follow the same exact step. Ask questions, listen, provide solutions, and help. Let them know always that you're on their side and that you believe they can do a better job. But let them know the consequences of the behavior and that it has to change. And then if there's continued performance issues, you just keep bringing them up in the same pattern. Then you move on to a written warning and then to a final. And sometimes you need to involve HR. In fact, almost every time when you get to a point like that, you need to involve HR. And then it could result in suspension or termination. Those are the sorts of things that I do when I'm helping people resolve performance issues.